Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. And I'm so honored to be here with such a fun actor. You've seen him in so many movies over the years. I'm so happy to have him in the building, Mr. Patrick Renna. What's up, Patrick?
What's up? Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, this is so cool to have you. Look, most people, I think, is it fair to say the thing you are most known for is The Sandlot? Is that where we can start? Is that The Sandlot is clearly is that the thing that you would say you're stopped the most for?
I would say most likely, yeah, that's probably number one.
But it's not just The Sandlot. I remember you in Son-in-Law, The Big Green, and you've been doing a
Right.
lot of recent stuff. Glow. I just watched Bad Roomies, which I'm going to make sure everybody else goes checks out because it's on Amazon Prime. And you just started a YouTube channel called You're Killing Me, where you're doing interviews, you're releasing secrets from The Sandlot. It's so excited. So thank you for coming here. The goal of the show is just I want to chat. I want to know about sort of your film what sort of set stories from the set, etc. I got your whole IMDb up here. I want to go through as much as you want to go through. We'll go through it. And if you guys at home have questions, I'm so excited. So you started at what age? Let's just start in the beginning. What was, because I remember there was like a Little Caesars commercial you did back in the day. You were a pretty popular child actor. What was like the first big break? Can we start there? Like what set it all off?
Pretty much Sandlot. I mean, I moved out to LA when I was 13. I'm from Boston originally. And I was up in school in Oregon and moved down here. And I basically auditioned for Sandlot right when I got here, booked it, and was off to Salt Lake City. It was pretty fast. It was pretty whirlwind. I was just, because I'm doing the Secrets of the Sandlot on my YouTube channel, and I was interviewing the director. And it was funny to talk to him about his version of the audition process, because I was actually the last guy cast. And there's a reason that there was some recasting that went on and things like that. So I moved to LA, and in a matter of weeks, I was off to Salt Lake City to film Sandlot. It was crazy.
That's cool. And then because I've watched some interviews, you talked about this. Like, was it always Ham? Was that the role you were ready to play? Because there was talk of some of the actors switched roles, right? They did, from what I gathered when you on one of your first episodes, you talked about they had a bunch of cast members. Some of them got let go. They readjusted some of those players. Like, what were you supposed to be? Do you know?
I mean, I always say when anyone asks me that, I pretty much have Ham written all over me. So it was, I was a one role kind of guy, that was it.
What was that audition process like? Like, was that the first thing you did? Was that like your first acting?
Yeah, I did have one audition. I booked my first two auditions, which was crazy because I had moved to LA and I met with agents, and you hear everyone and they sort of tell you like, just don't be surprised if you don't work for a few years. So I kind of had that as a mentality going in, and my first audition was this TV show called Salute Your Shorts. I don't know if you remember that.
Well, and going off of your IMDb, yeah, that's the first listing you have. Salute Your Shorts. Yep.
Yeah. So and that was a really small little one-liner, and I booked that. And I still remember being in the kitchen answering the phone. Of course, it was like a rotary phone back then.
I remember those.
The producer was on the phone. He said, "Is your mom there?" And I said, "Did I book it?" And he said, "Whoa, let me just talk to your mom." And I was like, "No, did I book it?" And I wouldn't let him off the phone until he told me. So then soon after that, I auditioned for Sandlot, and that was my second audition. And my indoctrination into the movie business was a lot different, probably than other people have had. I didn't learn the struggles and the nasty side of Hollywood until later in life. But it was all fairy tales and lollipops in the beginning,
In the beginning, he says, dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, so
Stay tuned. Stay on this live stream, and we'll tell you all about the nasty part of Hollywood.
What happened with Wendy Peppercorn? No. First up I had was, were you a baseball fan? I see like your set you've built here. You have stuff like, are you a sports guy? Have you sort of embraced that more? Or was that something Sandlot, made you appreciate more? What was your sort of sports and baseball background?
No, I'm definitely a sports guy. When I was younger, the sport I played was baseball for sure. I also love playing basketball. And I would say baseball and basketball are my two favorite to play and watch. Football, I don't really enjoy playing, but I love watching. So I've just been a huge football or a huge sports fan. Because realize I grew up in Boston during Larry Bird and the late late 80s or 80s to early 90s Celtics. So that was sort of who I knew. And then I moved to LA and hooked up with a bunch of guys out here. And they, then I just watched the Shaq and Kobe years. So it's very sacrilegious to say that I'm both a Lakers and Celtics fan. I don't think you'll find anyone else on the planet like me. But I have it all explained in my head.
Well, that's funny because you've done a soccer movie, you didn't get to do a basketball movie. That's frustrating.
I did do a basketball movie.
Which one?
It's called Boys Club. It's on there somewhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, my mistake.
It's not. It's Sandlot's what I'm known for the most, and that's probably what I'm known for the least. So there you go.
You're right. There, I have it right. Oh, sorry, I have it right here. Boys Club with a K.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't even tell you how to find that movie. So.
The Boys Club. It's like the Burger King Kids Club back in the day. I think they're trying to.
And funny enough, the guy who played Squint, Chauncey Leopardi, was in that one too.
So we did you have the trio. Yeah, it's like Will Ferrell in his sports movies. And then you talk about sports. It's like I'm curious though. Did you? Because I'm not a sports guy, but I got sucked into that Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. Well, did you watch that too? Is that something you were just loving?
That was so good. My wife watched it with me and was intrigued and would just be like, "Let's watch another episode." What I found the craziest about that, because obviously Michael Jordan is, watching him play, especially the second three-peat was completely my era. The first three-peat, I definitely remember, all those guys, Horace Grant and just obviously Pippen then too. But the thing that struck me the most was just seeing the behind the scenes of what seemed so easy. You see Michael Jordan and he just 2 three-peats and you know nothing that goes into it. So to see all of that and see how competitive he was, it was pretty awesome.
He was kind of a jerk, but sort of what drove him in a way. And it's an interesting. It was an interesting dynamic.
Way though.
Yeah.
Like the way that you have to be in order to be that.
Yep.
Like I saw Kendrick Perkins. Who was a Celtic for a while, so I should love him. He was like talking smack about Jordan. I forget what he said about how Jordan was just a total jerk and was a liar and all this stuff. And I did not get that at all. I got that Jordan owned up to who he was and that he was very focused on being the best. And I've heard the same thing about Tom Brady, that he is sometimes tough to play with. You hear that about Belichick. Like, it's not like people love playing for Bill Belichick, but you have to be that sort of evil genius to be the greatest of all time,
Yeah, I mean, Steve Jobs. I mean, you go down the list of all these successful people who clearly
actors. Jack Nicholson, I'm sure, is not the most fun to be on set with all the time. He probably is wonderful too. He just seems like an amazing dude, but he's one of the best actors of all time. And I'm sure if you don't come with your stuff ready, he's probably not good with it.
Yeah, no, and just I haven't talked about The Last Dance enough, so it's nice to talk to somebody. But it's like even just I didn't know about and then Phil Jackson, I forgot then he went and did it with Kobe, and there's like a whole sequel that you could make. And then when Kobe shows up, I got so emotional just in that point. Anyway, guys, if you haven't watched The Last Dance yet, you are missing out. I'm not a sports guy, and it's just fascinating to watch. So yeah, I'm glad to see you enjoyed that too. But so Sandlot, so were you a baseball guy? Like as a kid, were you on a team just to set the tone of sort of getting that movie, or is that something baseball got more ingrained as you were shooting?
Baseball is just like basketball for me. I grew up watching the Red Sox, and then I moved to LA. I've been in LA for over 20 years, so it's also probably sacrilegious to say I'm a Red Sox and Dodgers fan. But the film Sandlot was filmed at Dodger Stadium. I've met all the Dodgers. They're all some of the nicest guys. Justin Turner said, on the road, his alias is Ham Porter at hotels. So it's hard to not love these guys. When Matt Kemp was on the Dodgers, we were all there for the 25th anniversary. And he came out of the dugout and all the guys were there. And he had tears in his eyes. And he just said, I just want you to know, you guys are one of the reasons I started playing baseball. So we start crying. It's like and I know there's no crying in baseball, but for that day there was.
So do you exploit that? Like you must oh my God, all my favorite players know me as Ham. Is that something crazy. You embrace, or is that something you shy away from?
No, I don't shy. I never shied away from it. I think the 25th anniversary has really brought it out in me. And that's, I'm sort of just rolling with it and having fun. That's why I titled the YouTube channel, You're Killing Me, because I've been living with the line for, a long time now, so I might as well use it. It's I enjoy it, I mean, it's very humbling. It's an honor. We have Funko Pops. There they are.
Yeah.
It's like, that's really cool. It's very special to be part of something like that, because not every actor gets to be part of something that means that much to everyone.
No, it's true. Usually it has to be like a comic book movie or some sci-fi franchise, but you guys have now managed to just withstand the test of time in just a childhood classic that every year more. I showed it to my kids. I have questions from my kids I'm gonna ask you in a bit, but yeah, it must feel really nice to have scored. But you had a few, but Sandlot I think really is the one that holds up the best of just sort of making sure people watch over and over again. So I mean, as an actor, that's the goal, right? How does that feel?
Yeah, that's exactly it. As an actor, that is the goal. You do it so that you can have that sort of lasting effect on people. And so I don't see how you can look at it any other way except being honored and feeling privileged to be part of that movie, or anything like that. It's cool, because there are a couple other things that have been similar, like the X-Files episode I did. People seem to sort of remember that one a lot. And anytime you're in something like that, even though I was younger, I don't know. It's again, it's why you do it. So it's pretty special.
Well, I want to talk about Sandlot, but you talk about it so much, and I don't want to steal your thunder there. But if you go to his channel, You're Killing Me, he's doing a whole series about Secrets of the Sandlot. I want to go through all your films, but I want to obviously take a few minutes here to talk about Sandlot. But you guys can go watch. He has his first episode with Smalls himself, and others are coming. What is the release schedule? That you've already banked a few of those. Are they coming soon? The rest of the episodes?
Squints is next. He should be any day now.
Awesome. So go subscribe.
We chatted for like 30 minutes each of them. So editing that down to 12 minutes is.
Why edit them?
I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll release longer ones. Probably because we say things we probably shouldn't say on YouTube.
The real talk.
Yeah, No, I mean, there's some real talk in there though. But nobody wants the real talk.
No, I mean, I think people do. I mean, I wasn't trying to go there, but like what I know, because I've watched you answer these questions over and over again. I just don't want to be boring and make you answer all the same questions again of, the chewing tobacco was actually beef jerky. And I know you've been through the ringer and all these things. But like, what's the one thing you do really enjoy talking about still, or something that people don't know maybe, that you're like, you know what, this is still my memory of that, because it's like there's so many facts. There's that the Today Show did a really cool piece of the reunion, and they just edited it. Like I was like, I wanted to sit there and listen to you guys talk, and it just went like crazy. But then there was that rumor of like, oh, you guys snuck into Basic Instinct, and like, what is there some sort of fun thing that or annoyed thing? What is your feeling on sort of the factoids and having to live that movie and have the questions asked a million times?
I mean, again, if you're getting the questions asked a million times, isn't it? Some wise man once said, "Better to be talked about than not," or something.
Correct.
Than to be forgotten, or something like that. So, if you're being asked the same questions, it means there's interest in it. So you're doing something cool. I mean, we were being asked the same questions while traveling around to all these baseball stadiums across America for the 25th anniversary, meeting Matt Kemp and Justin Turner and Aaron Hicks and Aaron Judge. And so it's just like, you can ask me whatever you want if you're going to fly me around and meet baseball players, Like, I don't care.
How many times do you want me to say it? I'll say the line for you.
Yeah, exactly. So just for that reason, it's great, and I think a lot of people have the same questions. The thing that I like about the Secrets of the Sandlot run that's going to come is I haven't actually just chatted with the guys about their experience like that. So I think that part is pretty special, because it's the first time that we've just talked, and I actually had a lot of fun doing it. Like you can see the Tom Gyrie one, and Squints is next, but just to hear them talk about certain things, and who they hung out with on set, and just fun aspects to it that I didn't even remember. It's kind of like a trip down memory lane for me. So,
well, I'm curious about it, because you guys didn't, from what I've gathered in the interviews you have done, you guys didn't really hang out as much after the movie. It sounds like you really got back together during the 20th anniversary, correct? And then since then, you've been doing more and more appearances and chatting. What happened in between? Like, I'm not even trying to, I'm sure there wasn't drama. It just was, I've been on sets, like you get on those movies and you feel like your family, and then you go to your next family and sort of you move on, you forget. What made that difference? And what do you think? Why did it take so long to sort of reconnect with everybody? Was it just the the movie became popular again, you guys realized, wow, we were sharing that sort of impact together?
Yeah, I think the 25th anniversary really took it over the top. And it was sort of a summer that it was kind of like spending a summer together, just like we did in 1992 filming it. So we sort of spent a summer together just as adults traveling around to baseball stadiums and, this time maybe having a beer once in a while with each other instead of, a soda. So it was like a very similar experience, but 25 years later. And I really think it reminded us how much we got along back then, because we just sort of fell right into it. And we were like brothers. So we were like brothers again and still are. And now we talk a lot and we're in touch. So it's kind of cool.
And then, so did you ever watch the sequels they made? Those like straight to DVD ones? Was that something you had any interest, or did you like curiosity factor? Do you go watch them? Do you get annoyed? You're like, hey, why isn't Ham showing up? What was your feeling on sort of because I want to talk about Disney Plus is now doing something, but what about those before it happened?
I was asked to be in number 3. I decided against it. I talked with the director, very nice guy. I know how special Sandlot is to everyone, and I didn't want to ruin it, and I thought that the risk reward wasn't big enough. So number 2, the director of number 1 directed number 2, and I don't think anyone was in that one. I don't think he asked anyone to be in. I think he just wanted to do his own sort of follow-up. I never saw it. I don't know why. Not for like any other reason, just never made it around to it. But I have heard these whispers. One, I've heard the director is doing a prequel to the movie. And I think that's a great idea, because I think a sequel it's really hard to follow up. But if you do a prequel, it's not as much pressure because it's not a sequel.
Right.
And I've also heard rumors and talks, and we've even had some meetings about doing a TV show with all of us again and our kids. And I think that's a cool idea because, again, it's not a sequel. It's not, here's the Sandlot 2. This is just a totally new story. We're all getting back together, kind of like Cobra Kai. And
which is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was great. And the cool thing about it too is if we did a sequel, we're 25 years older now, and we were all about 13. So, and the movie took place in 1962. So it would be about mid-80s, which, come on, that's like Stranger Things. That's, mid-80s. That's like Captain Marvel. It's just all that stuff where she falls through the blockbuster and you're just remembering all these amazing things about the 80s. I think it's perfect for The Sandlot, which is such a nostalgic film, to come back in the 80s and do a little maybe limited TV show. I think that would be great.
But so that's not, because I've heard you say that is happening. You don't know where the status of that is yet. There's nothing to sort of reveal
happening
yet.
And then I think the team that was on it put some ideas up, and I think with the shuffle between Fox and Disney, it sort of went, we don't know yet. And now with what's happening in the world, it's definitely delayed. But, I think it's a great idea. I think Disney Plus needs the content, and Disney owns it now. So,
so you're not afraid to come back. You think you've seen enough to think, you know what, I would bring Ham back for this. You think there's more to be told in this story?
I would do it for this because I think it would center around the new kids. From what I understand, Ham would have a daughter. And if you remember at the end of the movie, the director wrote it. He tells you everything that happens to us. So Ham becomes a wrestler. And I think in the new series, I would teach my daughter wrestling, so come on, that writes itself, man. And Squints has 9 kids with Wendy Peppercorn. That definitely writes itself. Bertram gets lost in the 70s, so I don't even think he comes into season 2. It's just like the Timmons brothers. What did they do? They became like construction workers and millionaires. So it's all there. It's like the director knew. the director's he's one of those evil geniuses, but he's not even that evil. He's actually a sweetheart of a man, and he's so brilliant. I don't know if you know, but he wrote Radio Flyer.
Yeah. Great
He
film.
got fired off that movie, and he tells a great story. Someone said to him, "Hey, you get a second chance in Hollywood, kid. You don't get a third." So Sandlot was his second chance, and he nailed it. So I think he has a lot to still say about that story because he wrote it in there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think would close it up, but you just proved it. Yeah, guys, come on, we need the hashtag. Release the Sandlot sequel. Let's do this, Disney Plus. Come on, they need it.
That's what we've been missing is a hashtag.
Exactly. Now we're gonna build it. I have some questions, important questions. These come from my own kids. Okay, my daughter Valeria, she's 10, and she wants to know, what was your favorite scene that you did in the movie?
My least favorite scene was saying you play ball like a girl. I'm sorry that I said it to this day. Serena Williams, don't kick the out of me. The favorite scene I had filming, gosh. I mean, I think it's kind of a two-part answer. I think it's that run where we're talking trash, me and Phillips, and then it moves into the second scene where I'm in the batters or behind home plate, catching, saying all the insults, like, is that your sister out there in left field and all that stuff. I think those two scenes, which were not filmed together at all, but that was my favorite run in the film. Did you
do improv? Were you able to improvise yourself? Because I heard that when you're doing the scene, the trash talk scene, the director was like streaming stuff at you. But did they give you the liberty? Were you able to I'm going to say a couple?
Probably, but I just would roll with it because it was just one take. So, and realize this was back when it was film, so it cost a lot of money. So the director would say something, and then it would make me laugh because I have, this older, he was like a big brother to us. He wasn't quite old enough to be our father, but so you'd be like, hey, yeah, say if my dog was as ugly as you, I'd shave his butt and teach him to walk backwards. And I'd go, and I'd start laughing. And then he'd go, come on, we're rolling. So I'd have to compose myself and then say it. I think the friendly conversation thing I improv. That when I drop the ball and I pick it up and I go, hey, just trying to have a little friendly conversation. Come on. I think that might have been, parts of that might have been improv, So that, like, for instance, the line in the movie was, you kill me, Smalls. That was actually the line in the script. It was, you kill me, Smalls. I turned it into, you're killing me, Smalls. So there were little things like that we improv, but the director knew what he wanted so much that there wasn't like tons of room for, this Will Ferrell style, just take the movie over, do whatever you want. I'm Ron Burgundy. It didn't roll like that. We were 13.
Well, but hold on, that's epic because I missed that in my research. But I didn't realize you would. Was that a choice you made in the moment, or was that like pre-rehearsals you started saying it? Because was that something you just? I wouldn't say that. I'd say it like this, like as a kid. How did the line get rewritten?
I don't know. I actually only found that out when Victor Damadia, who plays Timmy Timmons, he posted a picture of an old Sandlot script, and he posted that line. And he said, who knew that the famous line wasn't written that way or something like that. And I went, whoa. So I brought it up to the director, and on the episode with him on Secrets of the Sandlot, he goes into that a little bit. And because he obviously remembers things more than we do. Like the interviews I do with all the guys were so fun, but the one that I found most intriguing was the one with the director, just because when he filmed the movie, he was in his late 20s. So, when you think about, I remember my 20s a lot more than I remember my early teens. So he has some really great stories, and he remembered me changing that line, I guess. I probably just said it because it felt more comfortable. I was probably just there in the scene and it said, you kill me, Smalls. And I probably just went, you're killing me, Smalls. And,
Could you have sold it as you kill me, Smalls? Come on, let's see a scene. How would you have done that? And could it have been as good?
I think that's the point. I probably said it and was like, no, it doesn't work. And I was 13, so I put my foot down and I said, listen, Mr. Director, this doesn't work. And I threw the script at him.
I like that story.
Right?
My son Sawyer, who I call Smalls all the time. I've said "You're killing me, Smalls" to him more times than I can count. I showed it to him when he was 6, and he loved it. He was just so engrossed. I know so many parents are the same way. So, but he had a two-part question: do people call you Ham, and do people buy you hams at Christmas?
Good questions. First question, yes, people definitely still call me Ham. And when I filmed the movie, the director wanted us all to just call each other by character names. So I was Ham for 3 months. To answer your question on hams, I'm not a big ham fan. So I asked people not to buy me hams on Christmas.
There you go. Are you like vegetarian or something, or just don't like ham?
I bought a ham last Thanksgiving, and I regretted it.
Wow. So we got an exclusive here. Guy. Yeah, Ham is not a ham guy. Is it because you're like respecting the name? You don't want to eat yourself?
It has nothing to do with that. It's just the piggish taste, I think.
Yeah, it's funny because my kid is named Sawyer. He doesn't like to eat soy because he doesn't want it's the same thing. So there you go. Sawyer, you having a similar thing to Ham here. Patrick.
I want to respect the name.
Respect the name. All right. Well, I have a couple other fan questions on Sandlot, and I want to move on to the next movie quickly. But here, so we had someone here. Oh no, I'm saving that one. Okay, great. And was there a role you've ever auditioned for that you really wanted to get that you didn't get?
Hundreds, yes. Hundreds.
Is there one that like got away? You're like, man, that one should have been mine.
Well, I just drove down Sunset Boulevard because my wife is pregnant. So we were going to the doctor to do a checkup. And I drove by the Steve Carell Space
Force
movie.
Yeah.
What is it?
Space Force, the Netflix series that's coming out.
Space Force. And I was like, I auditioned for that. That looks like it would have been really cool. And then I look left, and it's the Perry Mason poster for HBO. And I'm like, I auditioned for that too. Damn. So I was surrounded in Hollywood by the jobs that I didn't book.
Well, they're not out yet, so maybe they will suck, and you'll have missed a bullet.
I hope they're terrible. I have a funny feeling they're both going to be awesome, especially since there's nothing to watch right now. So give me anything, and I'll dive into it.
Well, here's a positive comment since why you just feel like that was a failure. You're not, because Mark C., thank you for the support, Mark C. He said, I met Mr. Renna in Pittsburgh and New Orleans at cons. My son was a big fan, and he was starstruck and quiet. Afterwards, he couldn't stop talking about meeting him. Thanks for being gracious. So there you go. I'm sure that happens more times than you realize, and that's got to be the coolest thing to know. Even my kid, I'm going to show this. He's going to be he's like, oh my God, that must be just feel so special. Not only just the adults, but it's the kids, right? More importantly,
let's talk about how awesome of a dad that guy is. Pittsburgh and New Orleans, not close to one another.
Seriously.
Wow. That's dedication.
There you are, Mark. You got it. Patrick approves. So, all right. So I want to move through your next film on your filmography. Hold on, I have it here. So it was Son-in-Law. So that was next. Was that shot after Sandlot? Son-in-Law, was it shot around the same time? Did you get Son-in-Law because of Sandlot?
I got Son-in-Law, I think, because of a little improv I did in the room with Pauly Shore. There's a scene in the movie where, what's funny is I auditioned for Son-in-Law and Sandlot like half a block apart from each other. They're in an office building across from CBS Radford in Los Angeles. CBS Radford's this small studio. And just thinking about it, both of them were right there. I think I auditioned for Son-in-Law right after I finished filming Sandlot. And I again, more to the whirlwind Hollywood experience, I finished filming Sandlot, auditioned for Son-in-Law right when I got home, and then was off to Northern California to film the movie. But I was in the audition room, and Pauly Shore in the movie comes up to me in my bedroom and says something. I'm like reading a Playboy, or I don't know. He does something intimidating to me, and in the scene, I scream, "Mom!" And that wasn't in the script. And so he comes up to me face to face in the audition room, and I think my mom was in the waiting room. And I look over and I go, "Mom!" And I yelled for her in the waiting room. and he started busting up. The director started cracking up, and I'm pretty sure I booked Son-in-Law on the way down to the car. Like,
Wow.
they came out and were like, "You're it. Paulie wants him." I mean, that was when Paulie called the shots on those movies. So
Did
that was
you?
pretty cool.
I loved that as a kid because I related to Zach in that movie because I had a sister and she was going off into college and I was sort of a smart ass the character is. Did you have a sister? Did you have any? Did that just come easy to you? What was anything behind that character?
I'm an only child, so I think being on movie sets though kind of formed those brother sister bonds. The adults on that movie were great. Also,
great
like,
cast.
come on, it was Carla Gugino.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't want her as a big sister? And then I had Tiffany Amber Thiessen, just like kind of hanging around and getting to be best buds with, which was pretty great.
Which you're like 13, 14 at that point too, right? That must have been awkward.
There's nothing awkward about it. Kelly Kapowski was everything a young boy could hope to meet someday. I remember there was a scene that she had in the hay, and she was laying down in the hay, and the guy that she was supposed to be in the hay walked away, and there was a break in between shots, and I walked on set, and everyone looked at me, and I was staring at her like laying in the hay, and she was like laying in the hay after a fun night, so it was quite a view. And she pats the hay and goes, "Come here, Pat, come lay down next to me." And all the dudes on set look at me, and basically everyone starts laughing at me, and I think I probably went "ah!" and ran to my trailer. But I'll never forget it. It was the greatest moment of a young 14-year-old's life.
Yeah, I bet. That is exactly. That's the period you don't.
I can't believe I didn't lay down in the hay. What a loser, though.
Life regrets. What was it like working with Paulie? I mean, at that point, he was a huge deal, right? That was right after Encino Man. Like, he was like sort of, and this was the movie that really, I love that movie. I think that's his best movie. It was the one that was the most commercially appealing. It was funny. It was full of heart. I really do think that's a wonderful comedy from the 90s. Was he like a pro at that point? Was he sort of nervous about that fame? Do you remember working with him?
I just remember him being like a big brother, I remember he was awesome. He was never conceited. He was never too big for himself. He was a very welcoming guy, and he also wasn't ever that strange. Like, the Pauly Shore you saw on TV was a character. He had, like, I think we all put a little of ourselves in the character. He was a wild guy, but he was pretty cool, and he was pretty normal, and his mom started the Comedy Store.
Yep.
And so he is part of old Hollywood and an old comedy scene. And so he's actually very intelligent and experienced in that sort of Hollywood world. So that I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, and then your sister, Carla, I always say it wrong. You said it. Did you say it right? I won't ask you again then. Carla Gioni.
Marley Shelton is really good friends with her, Wendy Peppercorn. So I talked about her then, and I said her name wrong, and she corrected me, and I still can't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the worst with names. Anyway, she's done so much incredible work, but that must have been fun. And then Mark, I saw your. I'm not going to say that, but yeah, he had a crush on her, is what Mark's. Thank you for that super chat.
On Carla?
On Carla, who didn't? Everyone did. She's a wonderful actress, beautiful woman, seems very smart, delightful. I think a lot of people had a crush on her, and that. I mean, you had a lot of people's crushes in your movies. Wendy Peppercorn,
your little brother,
Kelly Kapowski. I mean, man, all through those middle school years, I can't even imagine. Was that tough?
It was terrible. It was terrible. There was nothing fun about that movie.
Were you like, when did you start dating and stuff? Was that at that point? Because you're like a Hollywood actor, you're in your teens. Was that something you sort of rejected at that point, or no? Was that just? I guess it's still early, 13.
I started dating at 13. Paulie and I would hit the town, double date.
I'm sure you got the chicks for him. Totally.
Right.
So, and then Son-in-Law. Any funny stories from that one? Was that fun to film? I imagine. It seems like Paulie, if he was being nice and being a brother to you, the whole cast, I imagine. Did they expect that one to actually work, or were they worried, oh, this Pauly Shore thing is going to be dumb, or did you guys think that would be the hit it was?
No, I think they knew on that one because he had already done a bunch of hits. And I think, like you said, it was sort of, Son-in-Law feels a little like the most, I don't know, like you said, commercial or, heartwarming, and it had that sort of other aspect to it. So I think they knew that it would work. I mean, filming that movie was kind of interesting for me because I was the only kid on it. So I had a set teacher and I would go do school, and then I would come out and just be with all these adults. And it was a much different experience for me, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, and that's like it is like the whole thing is school, I imagine, then, because now you're watching all these adults act and learning. You have to really pay attention. You have to be on your game. What was the biggest lesson you learned from that shoot?
I think just I probably learned the most about filmmaking at such a young age on that shoot, just because I was more interested in adults and their relationships, and with the crew and how films are made. And the director was very he was sort of a father figure there, Steve Rash, and just very inclusive. And so I think because I was the only kid, it was less like, oh God, the Sandlot guys are here. Hold on, okay, everyone, all 9 of them are on set, and it's like a crazy mess. I think it was like, oh, when I came on set, people would be like, come over here, Pat, let me show you this and check this out, and oh, this is how sound works. And so I think I learned a lot behind the scenes on that one.
Yeah, well, I love that one. So that's 2 in a row. You just was like bang, bang. And so I'm curious, like after that, were there roles coming in more? Like, was it harder to get work? Was it easier to get work? As we look at the filmography next, I mean, those were 2 big hits for you. And then you did some TV stuff. You did Beanstalk. And then it was really the next big thing you did was The Big Green, which I want to talk about. But was that just sort of like an obvious choice for you? Disney's like, hey, we want to do a big soccer movie. Do you remember the process there with your parents or agents? Like, were you like, well, I got to do something. I just guess let's just do these kid roles. Like, tell me about sort of the next step for you.
Well, I was a kid, so I don't think I had anything. Beanstalk was an interesting one. That was sort of a lower budget movie, but I remember it very fondly. It had a cool little cast in it. And then I think right after that, you're right, there was some TV, but pretty soon after that was The Big Green. And that was just like another Sandlot experience. A bunch of kids, Texas. How old was I then? I guess, what was that, 95 that
yep.
came out?
Yeah. So 15 then?
Well, I filmed it in 94, so I was 15. So I was starting to get a little older, and I was the oldest on that movie,
yep,
probably out of everyone, and there were a lot of young guys. I remember Bug Hall, and I got along really well. And he was just a little shrimp then. He was alfalfa in The Little Rascals.
Yep.
He used to step on my feet, and I'd throw him into the air. And now if you look on Bug Hall on Twitter, dude's like 6 feet tall, really handsome, buff dude who rides motorcycles. So, people change.
Like Yaya is the biggest transformation from the cast.
Oh, yeah.
It's
you
incredible.
don't mess with him anymore. We used to pick on him, and now we're like, whatever you want, Marty. So yeah, Big Green was just another Sandlot. I think, the transition that was interesting for me was when I started filming movies in my late teens, early 20s. And there's a few there, like Dorm Days and Ricky Six, and I don't know if it's called Ricky Six anymore. But there were about 5 or 6 movies I filmed in my late teens, early 20s. And that was an interesting Hollywood experience because, that's when you're older. So now, yes, girls do come into the picture, and, for me, and, the co-stars are, you're going now out to dinners and clubs. And so you're juggling that and filming a movie and staying professional. So that was sort of an interesting time. I think when you're younger, your parents are around, so they're like, yeah, nice try. You're not going to do anything weird.
Right.
I remember the last sort of movie that I did as a youngster was Punks. And I think that came out in 98. So I probably filmed it
Yep, 1999 it came out. You're right. Shot then with Henry
98.
Winkler. Yeah, I watched the trailer for this one. Henry Winkler. It was like you guys are the punks. Punks.
Yeah, and Jessica Alba was in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's also funny to have been in movies with these people and then see what they have become later on. Like in that Ricky Six movie, Emmanuel Shrieky was in it, and she's gone on to do tons of stuff in Entourage. And so it's funny to work with people earlier on in their careers. But yeah, that was sort of the last one I did as a young guy. And I feel like Punks was kind of the transition for me. I remember Jessica Alba was in the audition room and we were both auditioning for it. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this girl? And I was like, screw it. Hey, you want to go to lunch after? And she was like, sure. Nothing happened, but I just, of course, come on. But I had a lovely lunch with Jessica Alba, and then we ended up both booking it. And she's a sweetheart. I sort of hung out with her a little bit in our late years, later teens, early 20s, and we were friends. But then to see what she's done is wild and crazy. It's like very impressive.
At that point, she's looking up to you because she's like, "You're ham." Oh yeah, I'll go to lunch with ham.
I think that's how it was then. She was like, "Oh my God, I love Sandlot." Sure. Now I'm like, Honest Company, take me to lunch, But that was sort of the last one, and then I got into that little run of.
Well, hold on. So I want to go there, but I don't want you fast forward through Big Green. I had a couple quick questions, and then I want to go to where you're going, because I see some people really in the comments do love Big Green. I just rewatched Big Green with my kids, and it was just funny because I loved it younger, but it's a weird plot where it's like the hot English teacher just comes in and takes over the school to just teach them soccer, and then you guys never take school again. You just play soccer for the rest of the game, and then Steve Guttenberg just shows up and takes over the team without any soccer experience because he's the sheriff and he has the hots for her. Why not? And then she gets to sort of lose some lines as they walk around. But then there was some really touching stuff. I loved the part with Kate and her dad. Like it got some like serious moments, some touching moments. It's a cute movie. But yeah, well, I mean, it didn't hold up though the same that Sandlot did. Do you feel that? I mean, I'm not trying to knock it, but did you feel that way, or is that one that's still people beloved to you? Is it still holding? It's on Disney Plus in July. It's on HBO right now, but I'm sure when Disney Plus gets the rights back, people will watch it. Maybe you'll start hearing about it again. But is that one that is like dear to your heart?
I think people that love the Big Green really devoted fans to it, but because maybe it's a sports movie and so is Sandlot, it might get overshadowed, at least from my experience. But my filming experience of The Big Green was awesome. I had a great time doing it. And the movie, I think it did great. It also came out on the heels of Mighty Ducks, maybe. So maybe didn't make as big of a splash as Mighty Ducks.
And we're staring at the poster. They put you front and center with that soccer ball between your legs.
I remember a friend of mine, his wife went as that dressed for Halloween, one Halloween party. And I'm like in my 20s. She comes in and she's got the whole soccer gear on and she's holding a softball or a soccer ball, down where the ball is.
That's a great costume.
Shot. And every time she'd see me, she'd go like this. Oh. So I had to watch her do that like 30 times that evening. It ruined my Halloween.
Oh, that's you should love that. But so you like that one? That was one that? But does that? But I guess the Sandlot you're saying just overclips that one a bit. I'm not knocking the movie, but Sandlot.
I love all the movies that I did for different reasons. I have different memories and experiences. You have to understand too, though. I'm not one of those guys that likes to watch myself on movies.
Oh, interesting.
So I've seen Sandlot a handful of times. I've seen Big Green probably twice. So I couldn't tell you like what movie that I love that I did, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I remember from movies that I've made is the filming experience. So the filming experience of The Big Green honestly is one of my favorites because it was similar to The Sandlot, which is we filmed it over the summer, filmed it in a different city. So I got an experience there, a bunch of young people. We had a great time. We did have more of an adult cast in The Big Green. So Steve Guttenberg was great and Olivia Davo was great. the Sandlot had an adult cast, but I never met any of them. To this day, I haven't really met James Earl Jones, Dennis Leary. I think I did a movie with Karen Allen years later, and Brittany Murphy. So I met her then, and I think we talked about Sandlot a little bit then.
Yeah, and I heard Dennis Leary on Sandlot. He was like method, is what you learned. He was just is that true?
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Tom Gyrie, you know, I think there's an aspect to the adults on Sandlot that were larger than life for us because we were so used to each other. So when they would come on set, we were like, oh, we were nervous. We also really never had much overlap because they were there, you know, Dennis Leary came in and out. So he was there for a week. We were there for 3 months, you know.
And he was great for the record.
Was there for one day.
Interesting. Yeah, both of them great performances. I'm surprised they haven't brought them together in some of these reunions. But the one question I had in the Big Green, that mud scene, were you guys just really, how did they just rolling around the mud? Was that was a long scene too? You guys were getting real muddy. What was that like?
We had a great time though. The mud bowl, they just brought in the big rain machines and just added mud, and they just said go to town, and we had a blast.
Yeah, it looked fun.
Mud an hour and a half.
And everyone's got to go take showers. Yeah, so Big Green, but yeah, when I asked questions, people definitely they remember you from that too. So that was another one. And so after Big Green, you just said you did some TV, did Boys Meets World, Home Improvement. Sometimes they come back again. You played Young Ann on there, and then you started doing like Johnny Misto.
That was with Hilary Swank.
Which Sometimes They Get Back. Yeah, right. That was with Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Was that fun to do?
And then Alexis Arquette, who I don't think is with us anymore, but he was a really cool dude. He reminded me of Pauly Shore a lot. They were very similar, like, you know, possibly eccentric comedians, but really warm-hearted people. It was a shame that he passed, but.
Yeah, no, I loved him, and Michael Gross also in that film, who I loved him in Tremors and Family Ties. Yeah, the good cast you got to work with in that. And then after, so the Johnny Misto, that was available. That's available on Amazon Prime. And that was a cool one because I filmed that in Romania. Oh, wow, so that's fun.
Yeah, and so that was a wild experience. That also was, what year was that?
97. All
right, so I take it back. Punks wasn't the transition. That was the transition. Because I went to Romania and I just brought a friend with me as my guardian. He is only a few years older than me, but I was 17 or 16.
Oh, wow. You and your friend are unleashed in Romania.
Well, and I paid him, and he would just go to the casino and blow all his money. So every night he would come home and just be so depressed. And I'd be like, dude, stop going to the casino. So I was the adult. I literally was in Romania and I did not have a guardian.
Wow, Johnny Misto. Yeah. Who would have thought? That's what did it. And then you did, because I was going to get to the X-Files, because you did an X-File written by Vince Gilligan, where you played the vampire. Do you remember that experience? Was that fun?
I remember Vince well on that because he was the reason I got it. I think he was in the audition and he really loved me and said, "You're hired." Also, I filmed that movie, that I call it a movie because it almost was. I was there for about a month in Vancouver. Because they flew me out. That the opening of that episode was one of the comedy ones, and it's told by two different viewpoints. Did you see X-Files?
Yes, I loved X-Files. Yeah, they always had mixture. There was the ones that carried the plot of the like and then there were the one-offs, which I always preferred the one-offs.
Yeah, and this was like a one-off, where they both told the story from their perspective. So when Mulder would tell the story, Luke Wilson, who played the older vampire, would have like buck teeth and just was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then when
Scully told it, yeah.
Scully.
Yes.
Wait, which one? Mulder was.
Mulder's the believer. Scully's the skeptic.
Yeah, but Scully's.
Gillian Anderson.
Mulder is David Duchovny.
Yes.
Yeah, so no, I was right. So when Mulder would tell it, he'd be this dork. And when Scully would tell it, it was just Luke Wilson in all his handsome glory. So there was an opening scene where Mulder chases me through the woods and stabs me. So I flew up to film that scene. And then I had like a 2-week break until my episode filmed. So I just was up in Vancouver partying and hanging out and checking out the city and going up to the mountains. And I didn't ski, but I met a girl out there and she kind of took me around and showed me the town. So that was amazing. It was like a paid vacation thanks to Fox, you know?
Yeah, and that's a fun. We were looking at you with the fangs and the green eyes on screen, but yeah, that was a fun episode. I mean, and so you Vince Gilligan was there. You said, do you remember that him being on?
Yeah, he was very involved in that. That's what I remember. Because when you're a writer on a TV show, it's not the same as a writer on a movie. Usually, the writers are also executive producers, so they're really around more. So I think Vince Gilligan had quite a bit to do with X-Files, right?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Carter created and was like the showrunner, but yeah, Vince Gilligan was pretty crucial on a lot of the episodes.
And I think he probably directed a bunch. And
but yeah, so yeah, interesting. It's good to hear you were a fan. So you Bad Blood, that episode is worth watching if you guys want to check it out. And then so after that came Punks,
yes.
and then Falling Sky. Some of these I'm not familiar with, so if you want to talk about them, just pause me.
Falling Sky is the one with Brittany Murphy and
yeah, rest
Karen
in peace, Brittany Murphy.
And Karen Allen's the mom in that, right?
Correct. Yep. Yes. Emily, a younger girl coming of age in lower class Las Vegas, must deal with her alcoholic mother. Sounds, yeah, that's so.
I didn't have a big role in that. So I was only there for a few days, but that was fun, you know?
Yeah. Gigs got good gig, and she's a great actress. Those are two wonderful. I mean, is that part of the decision-making process when you get some of these projects is who's in them? What helps you sort of decide it? Or were there times you're like, I'll take it? How does that work for you when you're in this sort of these phases?
Yeah, I mean, I think usually, at least for me, I don't audition for a movie unless I want to do it. So I'll sort of, if I'm not interested in something, I won't even audition. So once I go to the audition process, then if I'm offered the film, I take it because I already know that it's something I wanted to do. Falling Sky was, you know, it was great. I actually take it back. I did have a pretty decent role in that one. I was thinking of another one. But that was fun. You know, they're cool. When you do these independent movies, it's very hard to tell. I mean, you know, it's hard to tell what's going to go into them because sometimes these independent movies become the most incredible thing ever made.
Right.
And sometimes they're just, you know, they slip through the cracks and people don't see them. So it's a bit of a gamble and you just have to like the script. And yeah, I think Brittany Murphy being in it at the time, and there was a good group of the other actors in the movie. So I think, and then with Karen Allen, I got to be reunited with her. I didn't have any scenes with her though. So I've never actually acted in any scenes with Karen Allen, but I've been in
two movies. Yeah. That's how Hollywood works. And then you did Dill Scallion, you did Speedway Junkie, The Secret Life of Girls, and then you did. I remember your episode on ER. Was that a fun experience going on ER?
Yeah, you know, when TV shows are already huge, and you're coming on for just one episode, there's an aspect of it that's a little uncomfortable because you have these huge stars and they're doing this every day, especially like in ER, which is, it was the same show filmed every week and, you know, they're pretty used to it. So it's an interesting experience. I can't say that I like it that much because it's sort of like starting school for the first time as a freshman you get put in the seniors class, you know?
Right.
So it's really on the stars of the show to welcome people, and sometimes people do, and sometimes they don't. I've never really run into anyone that's, you know, too much of a jerk, but really, like, it just is really the ones that are great stand out though, like the Glow cast. That cast of girls was is so fantastic, and even the showrunners on that show were so welcoming. And it really makes a difference. Alison Brie, I remember I didn't have scenes with her, and it was like one of the last days I was filming, and she just came up to me and gave me a huge hug and said, "Thank you for being on our show." And I was like, she didn't need to do that, you know? So you remember that stuff.
Right.
You know,
good sets can make the show way better if you're actually having fun with them and they're into it.
And like Luke Wilson made X-Files a lot of fun for me he was really cool, and that I remember him being great. You know, I didn't have much interaction with David Duchovny, and I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Tell me.
Gillian Anderson from Scully, yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of my stuff was with Luke Wilson, and he was great. So when you do these sort of one-offs, you know, yeah, it was fun to do ER, but not the same experience as films or other things.
Well, yeah. So they just keep piling. There's The Contract. And then you did Poor White Trash, Very Mean Men, and then we talked about Ricky Six. You did Recess, School's Out.
Man, The Contract was fun because I got stabbed to death, so that's always
that's always fun to have.
And Very Mean Men was great to film. That movie, unfortunately, there was some politics involved after it was filmed, and it never got released, but it had Matthew Modine.
Yeah, good. Martin Landau.
It had who?
Martin Landau.
Matthew Modine and Martin Landau were sort of telling the story. And then you had an Italian and an Irish side of the family. I was on the Irish, and the Italians were Scott Baio, Ben Gazzara, the list goes on. And then on the Irish, I had my dad and mom was it Bruce Denning? No. How do you say his name? I'm going to look so I don't sound like...
yeah, I have it open here. You're talking about, this is still the Very Mean Men?
Yeah, my mom was Louise Fletcher, who's an Academy Award-winning actress.
Burt Young.
My dad was, who played my dad on that?
Is it Burt Young?
No, Burt Young was...
Yeah, he's from Rocky. Yeah, he's
in it too, though.
Yeah, my God, it is a good cast here. I haven't seen this one.
I know.
You were Donnie, so you, Jack McKee? Is that who's playing?
No, Jack McGee was my older brother.
Charles Durning, that's who played your dad.
Charles Durning, thank you. I said, yeah. Charles Durning.
Also amazing actor.
My dad. So I had Charles Durning, Jack McGee as my brother, Louise Fletcher as my mom.
Wow, yeah.
And, I mean, it's just like... And I loved the role. I was like the firecracker.
Were you like a film nerd? Like, you have Louise Fletcher there. Are you like asking her Cuckoo's Nest questions? Like, do you go there, or you just sort of stay cool?
I don't think I did. I get too scared of the brush, whatever, the rejection or something. So when I see someone, I never go up to them and say, "Hey, what's up? I love you," because I don't know. I don't want to ruin the image. If they're in a bad mood and they're not into it, maybe it's my experience on guest starring on TV shows.
I was going to say, well, someone asked a question and you may not want to answer. I'm jumping ahead. You were on Boston Legal with one of my favorite people, William Shatner, who crushed I'll admit it. He crushed my dad's like image of him because I got him to appear in a show he was on, and I did it the proper way and everything. And he was just a jerk to me. But you don't have to do that. But
William Shatner?
Yeah, William Shatner was not very nice. I was bummed that he was. And then I met him later. He was. Yeah. But I guess certain actors on certain days, especially if you're coming into those TV environments, it can probably be tough, right?
Well, and that's the thing too, is, people always ask, like, am I always cool? And I like to think I am. I try to be. I said, my line is, if you catch me before coffee, don't, I'm not nice about anything. So, but it's tough because sometimes you just catch people at the wrong time. And when you're on a film set, again, these guys, William Shatner, this is what he did for a living. He was there every day, all day, so my experience with him was actually fine. And Constance Zimmer, I did some scenes with. They were actually going to make me a regular on the show, but then I think the show got canceled, so that was a bummer.
Yeah, and you did some couple episodes on Judging Amy, and then there was Dorm Days. You were on the Closer, and Over There. Mothers and Daughters, and then we just talked about Boston Legal.
Mothers and Daughters, I don't think I was in.
That's wrong on the IMDb.
It's a lie on IMDb.
Wow, the internet's lying, Patrick? No.
I was not in that movie, and the reason I think it's lying is because the director of that's Holly Goldberg Sloan.
Sherry Hellard is the director. I mean, Sherry Hellard? Yes, Robert.
It's not Holly Goldberg Sloan?
No, it's a different one. Mothers and Daughters, 2006. You're like, oh crap, I am in it. They say you play bad boy.
Maybe I am in that.
I love when we can catch it. Like, I don't remember. I mean, you've done a lot of work. It happens.
movies change names too.
Yep.
Like, is Ricky Six not on there at all?
It is actually.
Okay.
It is still on. It is still when you were talking about it, I had it up. But
But
yeah, it's still called
they
that.
change names of movies. Anyway, there was one that I was supposed to do with Holly Goldberg Sloan, and it didn't work out. She's the director of Big Green, and I was so excited to work with her again because she was one of my favorite directors too.
I was going to ask. So she, out of all the people you were, I mean, obviously Sandlot, you already made it. You said he's fantastic, but if there was another director you could, aside from that one, you could work with, that's who you'd pick.
I think the three favorite directors are Son-in-Law, Sandlot, Big Green, Steve Rash, who's passed away, and Holly Goldberg Sloan, and David Mickey Evans. Honestly, David Mickey Evans holds such a special place in my heart because, you know, of how much the movies meant to everyone else. But yeah, those three are great. But again, I'm just trying to think of all the other movies, and there's been some pretty great directors. So.
And then it says here you did voices for the Spider-Man 3 video game. Is that true?
Wait a minute. Let me make sure. I just said Steve. Hold on. Is it okay if I pause for a second on things?
Yeah, I mean we're live, but I'm staring at your Xbox 360 Spider-Man 3 game, where it says you did voices. But yeah, double check.
That's one of the ones I don't remember too.
It's interesting because it says various voices for you. While you're looking it up, I'm just stalling for you. But yeah.
I know. Well, here's the thing about voiceover is there was a period in time where I did a lot of voiceovers. So when you do voiceover, like I was on Recess, but I played like 30 characters on Recess. So sometimes I think I would go in and do little things for Spider-Man or this or that, and somehow they got credited. Like I'm uncredited on so many different voiceover things I've done, but I've seen that Spider-Man one, and I don't really remember it.
And then as you're talking, I'm going to zoom through some more as you figure out that correction. You did CSI, you did Lifeblood, and then we did the Matthew Morrison story. You did some shorts here, some more. You were in Bones. You were on an episode of Bones with Freddie Prinze Jr. Is that correct? Yeah.
No.
No?
Freddie Prinze Jr. was on
that? Yeah. It's apparently on your episode, dude. Maybe I see IMDb is not always right. That's why I like to have this so we can verify. But
well, if he was, we weren't in the same scene because I actually grew up knowing Freddie Prinze Jr. a little bit.
Yeah, he played Danny Beck, and you were Pete. Yeah, but I guess you weren't in the same scenes.
You must not have been.
But you did. You were.
That would have been cool. What I'm trying to look up is I said that Steve Rash passed away, and maybe he didn't.
Oh, we can find that out pretty easily.
Terrible. So
let's make sure we do correct that. Steve Rash.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that he did. Lane Smith, who played my dad in Son-in-Law, did.
Yeah, he's also amazing in My Cousin Vinny. I love him.
Yeah.
It doesn't say.
I don't know. I thought that I heard that Steve did. I'm pretty sure his son called me and said that. But
we should find out. But yeah, it doesn't say either way on this.
But if he's alive and doing well,
he's done some great. Yeah, he did some great films.
Fantastic director.
Last one he did was Crooked Arrows, and he did Road Trip Beer Pong in 2009, and a lot of Bring It Ons. He did some wonderful stuff, though. Yeah, Can't Buy Me Love. I like that one. Son-in-Law. Eddie with Woody Goldberg. Yeah, good director. And then anyone online can verify while we're watching. Please let us know so we give him proper credit. But or check out. But then I wanted to get to sort of the more recent stuff, and then we did as we're looking here. You did Levantula, which I wanted to talk about because I watched parts of that. It was actually pretty fun. You got to read.
It's pronounced Lavalantula.
Lavalantula. Sorry, my bad. I correct. Thank you. But you got to reprise a scene and do a scene with Steve Guttenberg, which was a really funny scene where he's like the action hero and no one believes him. You take over the tour bus and then you get to play like oh my god, I'm with the action hero. It was actually pretty fun for that scene. Was that fun to do?
I loved it, and I loved being with Steve Guttenberg again. And he was shirtless in so much of the film. It was fantastic. That man, I don't know how old he is, but he still looks good, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't know age.
Yeah, he is ripped.
What is it? It's the first burns, fire burns, lava bites.
That's right.
But yeah, and then the film has a cameo with Ian Ziering, so it's like in the Sharknado universe. Yeah, this was a fun one though. You can watch this for free, guys, on YouTube with ads on it.
Oh my gosh.
So as I was watching, I checked it out. But yeah, Patrick has a really, and Michael Winslow's in it along with who did the voices, Police Academy. It's a fun sci-fi monster movie that.
I had a blast doing that one.
Yeah, so you got to do some fun scenes in that. So go check that one out if you want to have a fun watch of something Patrick did more recently. And then aside from, but yeah, so Steve, was that just an accident that you guys came back? Was there any sort of like, oh yeah, how does that work? Does he remember you? Obviously, is that something that just happens?
Berg has the most fantastic memory out of anyone you will ever meet. My wife randomly knew him through someone totally different than me, and on set I was like, my wife knew you, and I brought it up, and he said her name, Jasmine. Oh my god! And it was like a decade ago, so I couldn't believe it, and he absolutely remembered, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, I love it. Police Academy. That's another one I want to see. Let's bring that one back. We could do another sequel there. Make that happen, Patrick. Call him up. Yeah, for Hulu or something. And then the recent one that you can also watch for free if you have Amazon Prime is called Bad Roomies, which you were a producer on as well, correct?
Yeah, that movie I made with three of my closest friends: the director Jason Schnell, the co-producer with me Tommy Savis, and he's the other star in it, and then the fourth one's a really good friend of ours, Justin Mooney. He wrote it. And we got the money together a couple years back, and he wrote it, and we filmed it. And, we made that movie for almost no money. We're talking well under $1 million. Well under $1 million.
It looks great.
Yeah, I think for that reason, I think people need to remember that when they watch it, is that this was a very, very independent film. And I think that producers out there should remember that and give me $10 million.
Seriously.
Oh, watch out. But so for that reason, I'm very proud of it. I think a lot of times people look at it and they are, putting it up there with studio films or bigger budget independent films. So then maybe they go, wait a minute, what? But if you keep that in mind, like we were very limited to the locations and, and crew was like 20 and, cast was favors. Jackie Tone played my girlfriend in that, who was on the Glow stuff, which, she's one of the best parts of Glow. But yeah, we had a great time filming that. And it's, it had a nice release on iTunes, and it was on Netflix for about a year. And now Hulu just re-upped it for its second run on Hulu. So you can see it on Hulu, Amazon, iTunes, any of those things. But if you have Hulu, you can see it for free.
Oh yeah, oh cool, gotcha. Well, or I watched it for free yesterday on Amazon Prime. So who knows with those licensing deals? They always move around. But
sure.
you can.
Maybe they got me too.
There's a place you can watch it, guys. It's worth the watch. It's a lot of fun, and it just gets weird of two roommates who bring in a girl.
Definitely a weird ending.
It gets weird, but I enjoyed it.
How I wanted it to end, but there were four of us, so I allowed it to be that way. But,
you got overruled, but I liked it. It's a fun film. Check it out when you can. And then we're coming out to the sort of the most recent stuff you've done here, which you did Fear Inc., which was a cool horror movie.
Yeah, that was fun.
Was that fun to do?
That was a lot of fun. Lucas Neff was in it. His real life girlfriend, forget her name, Carly. No, you looking?
I don't know. Like, oh, you mean the cast? Sorry, I was looking at the poster, but yeah, I can tell you, I have the cast up here too.
The lead girl.
Yes, it's sorry, it's pausing here. Wait, they don't have them in order.
Chris Marquette, who's great. He's been in a lot of stuff. Real cool guy.
But the film is about someone who like gives like death fantasies, right? It brings like
it's like a company that does it, and they say call the number, and they'll scare the bejesus out of you and make it seem real. And there's twists and turns, and it's all over the place. And I'm one of the people that work for the company. Abigail Breslin was in it. We have a fun scene in the beginning of the movie. And the writer-directors of that, Luke Barnett, wrote it. He's a great guy. And they're just a good group. They have another movie out that I think they did, and it's doing really well. I forget the name of it, but I didn't know we were going to go through my whole IMDb. I'm not prepared.
No, it's fine. I wanted to respect everything. I ones I picked, but what I was trying to get to even quicker was Glow, because that's the one I know you're really proud of recently, and you got to play Cupcake on that show, which is really fun. Fun scenes. Is there opportunities for that to keep going? I mean, I know you've said you love that cast. I met Alison Brie too. She's amazingly sweet. But yeah, that must have been such a blast to work there. And could we see more?
I don't think it'll keep going because it had quite a finite ending.
Yeah.
I was very, obviously tossed out of the ring. So, but that was a blast. And the funny thing was, all the girls on that show, there's the 2 lead girls, and then I had all my scenes with the rest of the cast of girls. So there were like 10 girls and me and Kate Nash. I'm a super fanboy of Kate Nash in the show, and but it was really cool because I knew Jackie Tone, so she was very welcoming. And then all of the girls were huge Sandlot fans. So the day I showed up on set for a wardrobe fitting, we do this huge photo together. I was a huge fan of the show because I had just binge watched season 1 with my wife when I found out I was doing it, and fell in love with the show. So I was all, fanning out. They were fanning out. It was a lot of fun, and we had a good time.
Yeah, no, it's a fun show. You guys can watch that over on Netflix. That was season 2, correct? Where you're in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think did they just release 3?
Yeah, 3 is the one the newest.
Might have a 4. I don't know.
I'm sure they will. It's been pretty popular. And Betty Gilpin, she's also amazing. Did you watch her in the new one that just Blumhouse just did? The Hunt, yes. She's fantastic in that movie.
Ethan Suplee's in that, and I have him on my YouTube channel.
Man, he's gotten, you can see how just built he's gotten from My Name is Earl days to now. It's impressive. Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah.
And then, so Glow, and then what else is in the works for you, Patrick? What can we look forward to next? Aside from obviously the channel, which I'm plugging again right here. You guys should, if you haven't already subscribed to You're Killing Me on YouTube.
Hollywood is shut down, so nothing right now for anyone, but that's why I'm doing this. I actually was planning on doing a YouTube channel before all this happened. And then when the quarantine happened, I was like, you know what, let's just release it and have some fun right now, and then open it up when the world opens up. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. The interviews on there with Ethan Suplee and Jason Doring are pre-quarantine days. So once we get out of this, I have a great list of guests coming up, and should be fun. And I'm loving it. It's just fun to put out your own content and just do, film and do something artistic every day. It's cool.
Yeah, well, it's awesome. So excited to see what happens next. We did one. Bunda here had a question. You don't have to answer, but it's as a kid, who did Patrick find more hot? The sister from Son-in-Law or the soccer coach from The Big Green? Who did you have a bigger crush on?
I want to answer this correctly, so do you mind if I think about it for a minute?
Course, I wouldn't have won any other way. Of course you got it. They were very beautiful, amazing women.
And they still are.
Yeah.
For sure, later in life, I think Carla, I really went, whoa, Carla, my gosh. She's quite beautiful. I think maybe filming the movie, I sort of looked at her as the sister a little bit. I think I probably fell into that, and our relationship very much was brother-sister, and it was a very professional environment, so I probably didn't think of her that way. So I'd probably have to go with Olivia for when I filmed the movie. But later on in life, I have seen Carla and been like, wow. And
she's done some. She's still doing amazing. They're both doing amazing work. But yeah, Carla's impressed me, and bravo to both of them. But yeah. It was weird. Olivia, it's great, but it is sort of that movie. As I watched it as an adult now with my kids, I'm like, wow, they really are just sexifying her a lot in that movie for a Disney movie. And then Steve Guttenberg just runs in like, I'm Mr. Sheriff, I'm in charge. It is, but she does. That's how movies were back then.
Strange.
It was a little strange, but she does great. I liked her a lot. She's really that's a good role for her.
We definitely, all of the dudes had a crush on her, like we had on Wendy Peppercorn.
Yeah,
she was definitely the Wendy of Big Green. Yeah.
So do a lot of guys just ask that question, like, which one? Which is that? Is that something?
I've never had that question asked, so I really wanted to think about it and answer it right.
There you go, Bunda. There you go. He was. The people were afraid to ask. He doesn't have to answer. He's a grown man. But look, I do. This has been so much fun. I'm excited to see what you have next. I'm excited to see the future secrets of the Sandlot. I hope you guys will go subscribe there to You're Killing Me over there. What do you? Last advice, like for people who want to come up to you and make you say the line. Give me the honest answer here. You like no, just come on, just be normal. Have you come to terms with it? I saw you on like the Jim Norton show. You were sort of addressing it like you've embraced it because you sort of have to. But does it get, I guess it depends on the day. What does it annoy you still? Because I imagine people come up to you all the time still and try and get you to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it annoys me. Like I said in the beginning of this, I enjoy that it means so much to people. And if a line that I said has become that popular, I don't see how you can look at it any other way but, being proud of it. I don't know that I don't really recite the line very much just because I said it when I was 13. And I think part of the charm of the line was a 13-year-old blinking his eyes, looking at Smalls and saying, "You're killing me, Smalls." Like it's, it doesn't have the same thing. And as I get older, "Oh, you're killing me, Smalls." It's just not gonna work for anyone.
Now, have you ever used it though in real life now as an adult and it actually worked?
I do think I say "you're killing me" sometimes. I don't say "you're killing me, Smalls," but I'll say "you're killing me." But the way that I say it now is like I throw it away. Like, "Oh my God, you're killing me right now." See, so that's a different vibe. That's not the way that I said it in Sandlot. The director said cut, and he said, "Pat, I want you to look at him like he is the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. You're disgusted. Take a minute. You don't know what's happening. He's growing horns. That's how crazy what he just did was." And then the next take, I stopped and I looked at him for like 5 seconds, the director says. Like I literally just went, and I did this big blink and I said the line, and then everyone started laughing and it ruined the take. So we had to do it like 10 more times. But that's I don't know. That's just a very different delivery, I think. I'm not going to deliver it like that now. You know what I mean?
Right. It was in the moment. But so that's what I'm asking. It's never come out. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna actually use it in this point," because it's like a weapon you have where you could really get someone really good, but you've chosen not to do that yet.
It's not a line for me. It's not that I've chosen not to do it. I just haven't grown up saying that line.
Interesting. Well, and that reminds me of the one last question I want to get to of like this viral moment that happened recently, which I've seen talk about, but where you both were on the street and you ran up to this guy who was wearing the shirt of "You're Killing Me," which then went everywhere. It was like the viralest story for a while, and he didn't even really realize that you were the guys from the shirt. But beyond that, my question was, to share that story, was that just that must have been unreal to see it sort of blow up the way it did?
Yeah, Tom Gyrie spotted him and said, "Oh my God, dude, look at this shirt. The guy's wearing it." So then as we got close enough to be within earshot, I said, "Hey, nice shirt." And the guy, we're in Tribeca or I don't know where in New York, and we start walking towards each other, and it just kind of started getting progressively more awkward because he was like, sorry. And then, so we squared off, and then we started walking backwards as we walked away from each other. And I tend to try and explain things sometimes, like ask my friends, they'll be like, it's just too much information. So I just was like, "Oh, that's me on the shirt, and this is Smalls. It's a movie." And then it just got really awkward. The guy had no idea what I was talking about. And so then we just sort of paused and we're like, "Okay." And then I looked at him and said, "Do you mind if I take a photo with you?" And he said, "Sure." So I took the photo, posted it. F. Jerry picked it up and posted it on his Instagram, and that just made everyone pick it up.
Did you ever hear from him after that sort of experience?
Yeah. He made me take it down off Twitter.
Really?
I don't think he was happy with it.
Oh, man. So he's just a poser wearing that shirt. Come on.
Sort of became like the poster boy for the millennial generation not having a clue, So I don't think he was too happy about that.
Wow. Yeah, but it's not like his name was out there.
No, and I try and tell everyone he was actually a really good sport. He just truly didn't know who we were. It was perfect.
Right. Do you get to see residuals on those T-shirts? How does that work? Your face is on that shirt. Is that like a union thing? Did you sign something that doesn't give it to you?
We get a little bit, not a lot, but there's a lot of bootlegged, so we don't get anything on bootlegged. That shirt actually started with Urban Outfitters, so they, I'm sure, bought the rights from Fox.
Got it. But so that's good to hear. So you got to make sure you buy the official one, so that way you're giving Patrick some royalties for this face.
Urban or Walmart or Kmart, places like that. If you're buying it from the shirt vendor on the street, I don't know that.
But then if they just put the line, you get screwed, right? You got to buy one that has your face on it officially to make sure we're endorsing you and giving you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just making sure they understand. Most people don't
get
that.
MLB caps back there. I'm sure MLB got New Era. I'm sure paid the rights. So
yeah,
buy away.
And so I've always wanted that. You're the first person I've talked to who has a Funko Pop. Did you have to sign your rights for that, or can they make a caricature of you?
I don't think anyone gets any cut of Funko because it's a caricature. It's not actually me.
Right.
Or
you don't own the character. It's unless it's your likeness, which is a fine line there because everyone has the same likeness on Funko. That's probably how they get away with it.
It's not really me. The picture of me pointing, that is me. But sorry,
right, so if Seinfeld sells a pop, it's Seinfeld who owns that image, but for you, you're stuck because the studio. But they don't even. Do they ask you, or does? I imagine you have them there displayed. You're happy, but I'm just curious. As an actor, you don't even get involved in that conversation.
I mean, they don't ask, but on Funko, it's kind of cool, you know.
Yeah. Do you have like you have like bobbleheads too? No. Is there some
bobbleheads back there? Yeah.
Because if it's more your likeness, you get this. So I just want to make sure fans know where to get the proper Patrick memorabilia.
Well, yes, there are some bobbleheads that are made, and there is a company that just made a bunch of bobbleheads, and they asked me to sign a bunch of them, and I'm going to be doing that soon once the world opens up again. So
soon, we hope.
Yes.
Well, Patrick, it's such a joy talking to you, and I'd love if you need any of this help. I'm happy to talk to you about YouTube. Let's make sure we go send him some love and subscribe right now. Over to hit the bell, notification bell, hit the subscribe. Stay tuned for more secrets from the Sandlot. If you enjoyed this, he's going to give you lots more. It's fun watching his vlogs with his kid. You have a kid now, so are you? And he's still kid's still young. So do you have a plan of sort of when you're going to show the Sandlot?
Yeah, I mean, I showed it to him a little bit. Just for fun, and as you say, kid, I start yawning again. I've been holding back a few yawns.
No,
here.
I'm not offended. Yeah, these homeschooling and everything with kids. Trust me, I get it.
And I am up at 6 a.m. no matter what time I go to sleep.
Yeah.
So.
I have 3 myself, including a 1-year-old. So I am not offended. Okay. But yeah, so how old is your kid? And how old is your kid? And what's
3?
3.
My wife's almost 40 weeks pregnant now, so any day now we're having our second.
Oh man. And, congrats.
Yeah, I'll probably show him. I feel like the age is like 5 or 6.
I did 6 and he loved it. So yes, I would. But and then it was interesting. I forget the real name. Smalls actually showed when he did your episode. That was a funny story. He said he filmed his kids watching it and he didn't tell them he was in it, which is really cute. Will you try something? I guess you can't now. You've already sort of shown. He can't miss the fact that you're in that movie in your house.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe I could not do it. I feel like with me though, I look so similar that's not a game that's even worth playing. Tom Gyrie looks a little different, you know.
But I've certainly talked. To me, that's awesome because you get to. I guess it has a blessing and a curse depending on the mood of your day when you're walking around and people are telling you. But I hope like. We love you, man. You are a legend. That's what the film's about, right? The legends never die, and now you get to live as a legend of Sandlot, as Ham Porter. So I hope you really feel that positivity in your days, as opposed to anything else, because I can see it in the chats and everything else. Everyone's a fan of you. You seem like such a wonderful, nice, positive guy. So happy for you and your future, building this channel and the future roles you get. So guys, again, last plug here. Make sure you go subscribe over to You're Killing Me. And yeah, thank you, man. Someone asked me last thing, because we're on a movie channel, what is your favorite movie? Let's end there. Your favorite movie, if you had to pick one, what would it be?
I would say my Sandlot is The Goonies. For sure. Favorite movie, probably I think it's a tie between Godfather 1 and 2. Those two are my favorite films. But The Goonies was my Sandlot for sure.
Oh wow, I might have to bring you back to Nerd War that out some night.
Huh?
We do a show called Nerd Wars. We might have to bring you back to sort of fight those. That'd be fun. Which is
I
better, Godfather 1 or 2? Ooh.
And I also think Godfather 3 gets too bad of a rap because you're comparing it to 1 and 2. If it was a standalone film, it maybe wouldn't be as bad as people think, you know?
I think that's fair. I agree. I mean, it's not exactly just not as good, but it's not as awful as some people. It's not like Hangover 3.
Yeah.
I said it, not him.
Like Matrix 2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry if anyone's going to kill me for that one.
But I'm excited for Matrix 4. They could maybe redirect it. I'm curious to see. Did you ever watch Speed Racer? They did great with that film. The Wachowskis made Speed Racer, which is also where people tore it apart, but my kids loved Speed Racer.
Really?
Yeah, it's an interesting adaptation. But Patrick, dude, so fun to talk to you. I hope we can stay in touch. Thanks for coming by and staying here as long as you did, going through your whole filmography. You should be proud. So many amazing films of my childhood, amazing experiences that you've and roles that you've inspired. So thank you for all that you've done and all your amazing work. Stay in touch. Everybody go subscribe. That's all we got here for filmography autopsy. It sounds depressing, but it's actually celebration. All the positive in Patrick. So Patrick, thank you again.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
That's all we got. Please subscribe to his channel, to our channel. I'll put the links down below to make sure you can go to there directly. I'll put the little iCard. You'll have seen it throughout the video. So go give Patrick some love. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back with some more of these whenever I can find someone as nice enough as Patrick to go through the time. But make your suggestions of any other actors you'd love to see on the show down below. Thanks for watching live, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye!